Hey, how y'all doing out there in YouTube land? This is Stiletto coming at you from the Wild Wild West on a rainy Sunday, June 5th. This is a request video from Jeremy Rearick. He was asking me about the Marilla and the lockup on the Marilla, if it had good lockup, on the Case Marilla frame lock. And from Anton Beukes, B-E-U-K-E-S. I hope I'm saying your name right. And he was asking me about the lockup on the 80-20.5. And we also got my little girl Juno here. She wants to get in the video. That's right. That's right. Making videos. Here we go, sweetie. All right. And so what I decided to do was just show you examples of all my favorite locks. And these are locks that I have opened and closed, manipulated in my hands, fidgeted with, practiced with, trained with. These are all my favorite locks. These are the locks I would highly recommend to anybody that's interested in a knife with a good lock type that doesn't wear out easy. None of these locks I have worn out. None of them. And some of them have been in my possession since they came out, like in 2012 or something like that, maybe 2000 whatever. But I've been carrying these knives forever. And these are all my personal folders. I've carried every one of these. The newest one to my edition that I'm carrying is this one. Y'all just seen recent videos on the making of it. But this version of it, or the 80-20.5, is one that I've been carrying to work for a while now. And it gets fidgeted with more than probably any other knife. The second knife that I fidget most with is probably this one right here, the Civivi. But anyway, let's start off with the cold steels. Cold steels are the OG because they're the ones that got me into collecting all these types of knives in the first place. So I'm gonna start off with cold steels. And the famous triad lock. This is one of my favorites right here. The holdout. When you hear me talking about holdouts, I'm usually talking about this one in particular. This is the one that I carry all the time. I like to carry it inside my motorcycle vest. It's an awesome knife. I've been carrying this ever since it first came out. This is an Oz 8 version. I got this knife when these knives first came out. I don't know what year it was, but it was when they first came out. I know I've had it for over 10 years. I've had it for a long time. And I fidget with it, and it holds up perfectly. That's all I got to say about that one. The next one up would be the one that I always carry when I carry this one, is my cold steel Tau War, the 4-inch blade Tau War. I wish they would remake these and these. They made the bigger ones and the bigger ones of the holdout and the smallest holdout, but they didn't make the size to me that was the most fun to carry, the 4-inch blade ones. This is the 4-inch blade Tau War. As you can see, it's been all polished and everything. I've had this since Tau Wars first came out. This is an Oz 8 Tau War, and it's the one that I carry the most. And it's been with me for a very long time, and I love to fidget with it. Awesome knife. Knife lock is never worn out. This is a knife that's not too old. I bought this one, I want to say, last year. I think this was a last year knife, because I got the clip or the bronze style blade this year for this one, for the XL model Voyager. But my very first triad knife I ever carried or ever purchased was a Voyager. And it was the 4-inch Voyager, the large version. This is the XL version, which is my favorite one to carry. Usually when I carry a Voyager in my pocket, it's usually going to be an XL. I do carry the large size on my fanny pack. I have a pouch for it made by K-Bar that I carry on my fanny pack. It just rides with my wallet and everything else and my personal gear. I don't want to tell you what all my personal gear is, but got personal gear I keep in the fanny pack. Just in case emergencies. Always stay prepared. But anyway, this is the one I like to carry in my pocket. Absolutely love it. This one has the Snaggletooth MF Snaggletooth on it. I like the aluminum ones better than the plastic ones. Excellent knife. Excellent knife. Highly recommend it. rock slide, doesn't have any side to side, up or down, or anything. None of these knives do. All these knives work and perform perfectly. Here's the other one I like to carry in my pocket a lot. I carry this one to work a lot. It's my Cold Steel Recon 1. And this one right here is the newer version. It's got the new Cold Steel GSM markings on it. But I've been carrying these ever since they first came out too. I've got them all the way back to the Oz 8 ones. I got a whole bunch of these. This is just the newest one. Pretty much every time they came out with a new steel or anything new, I always got the new one. It's one of my favorite knives of all time. Another one of my favorite knives of all time that has perfect lockup is American Lawman. And I have the newer version of this one, but it's put away in the safe right now. And this is the one that I always keep out, because I don't know, I just like this one the best. I like the hollow ground one with the CTS 6HP blade. Been carrying these for years. This and the mini Lawman I usually carry together. And it's usually when I need to go somewhere where I don't want to have threatening looking knives and stuff like that. But I always like to carry a knife regardless, if I can get away with it. All right, next is the frame locks. Now, I was asked a question about frame locks by Jeremy. He wanted to know about this one, the Case Marilla. And the Case Marilla is one of my favorite frame locks. It's American made by Case Cutlery. Absolutely love it. And he wants to know about the lockup on it. I have two Case frame lock folders, one with the Tonto blade, I think that's called the Kenzua, and this one the Marilla. And this one came to me perfectly centered. Everything's perfect about it. And my Kenzua was off center. I had to try to get center. It's still slightly tiny. You know, most people wouldn't even notice it, a little bit off. But it used to be almost hitting the frame, and I got the center better than that. But he's asking me about the lockup. So let me show him the lockup. Now this one has these have hardened steel inserts, so you just don't look at this part. You need to try to see the hardened steel insert. And I would say it goes about halfway across the blade. So I would consider that real good lockup for a frame lock. Hope you can see that, Jeremy. Let me back it up, maybe focus in a little bit better. Can you see there? Let me show you from the back too. Sometimes you can see from the back. But these are one of my favorite knives. Why is it one of my favorites? Because it's light. It's lightweight and it's got a good size to it. It makes a good self-defense, not only a good utility knife, but it also be a good self-defense folder. The only thing that some people might have a drawback about it is that I hear people complain about when a detent's too light or something like that, because it makes them feel like they can't open the knife safely or something. I don't know. But also what that means is that you just need to press harder on the flipper. That's all that means to me. These open way easier than knives that opened up when I was a kid. When I was a kid, most knives you had to open with two hands. This is a breeze to open and close. It's an awesome knife. I highly recommend the Case Marilla. I think it's a beautiful knife. I love the way it looks. I love the way it handles. The construction's really good. Now on the pocket clip, when I had it on the right hand side, it wasn't contacting with my pants good enough, and it would come in and out of my pants too easy. And I ride motorcycles, so that's not a cool thing. So I turned it into a left-hand side knife and use it on the G10 side. And that side, it has plenty of grip. It doesn't fall out your pocket. That's the only thing that I can say about it that might be considered a negative or something. So that's my left-hand knife. The other frame lock let's talk about my ZT. I love this one. It's a Sinkovich design, is that right? Sinkovich? Yep, Sinkovich design, and the model is 0462. 0462 CPM 20CV, made in USA. All these knives are, let me see, this one's a CTX HHP, this is a S35VN, this is a Japanese Oz 10A, This is Japanese Oz 8A, Japanese Oz 8A. This one right here, I think it's an S35EN, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, S35EN, powdered steel. CPM S35EN. And this one right here is a 20 CV blade. Why do I like this one so much? It's sexy. It's super, super sexy. Why else do you need to like it? It's like that girl you see walking down the street and you just wish that it was yours. You know, she was yours. You know what I mean? She's just super, super sexy. Not only that, it's super lightweight for a knife this size, and the flipper action is awesome. Lockup, you know, I only like these things with, I only like frame locks when they have a nice flipper that keeps my fingers safe in case the flipper comes engaged, because a frame lock is not the strongest type of lock. And so that's one thing that you always got to consider when you're using, when you want to purchase a knife, or you see a knife that has a weaker lock type, like a frame lock or a liner lock, or even like a plunge lock. Plunge locks aren't the strongest locks either. You know, you always, and my advice would be to always get one with a flipper that protects your fingers in case the lock gives out, so you won't get your fingers chopped up. Been there, done that. But this has a titanium frame and a carbon fiber frame. Very nice materials, very high end, made in the United States. Beautiful knife. Beautiful shape, feels great in hand. Super light in your pants pocket. You'll forget that it's in your pants pocket. Awesome knife. And like I said, the action is tuned perfectly. Highly recommend it. It's got the hardened steel insert. That's the other thing that I would recommend for any frame lock. Make sure you're getting one with a hardened steel insert. Don't get a frame lock that has a titanium frame lock without the hardened steel frame insert, or aluminum frame lock without the hardened steel insert. I don't care if it's coated or whatever, it's going to wear out. It'll wear out. You need to get one with a steel insert. Those last the longest, and if they do wear out, you can replace the steel insert. But anyway, on to the next one. Next one I'm going to go to is this one. This is a titanium frame lock with a hard steel insert, made by Artisan Cutlery. Designed by Dylan Mallory. Beautiful. And this one has, is it M390? I want to say it's M390. It's one of my favorite frame locks from Artisan Cutlery. Action on this is wonderful. Nice thick blade. I love it. This one carries very easily in your pants pocket also. Next one up. Well, let me see. Where do we want to go? We want to go to Russia, or do we want to go to Italy? We went to China. We went to United States. Let's go to Russia. Mother Russia. And this is a dagger Condor. D2 blade. This one has a steel frame lock with a frame lock, where you can lock the frame lock, and so then you can't open it and you can't make the blade fail. Undo the frame lock, and then you can close it. This side is a G10 slab over a stainless steel liner, and then this side is all stainless steel frame lock. Everything's stonewashed with the skull. I love the skull pocket clip. I think that is too cool for school. But this one's designed to be more like a self-defense folder, if you ask me. And it's a beautiful knife. One thing about Russia, you know, I've seen some beautiful knives in Russia. I hope they get their stuff together, you know, and get a new leader for their country, and get things back to normal. Be part of the rest of the world again. But anyway, let's move on to Italy. Let's go to Italy, Rome. Here we go. From Maniago, Italy, I think it is. Maniago, Italy, and this is a line steel knife, and It's called the SR11 Maletta. SR11A. The A stands for aluminum. And they also have a titanium version, which costs like $100 more than this. This is a fairly expensive knife. And this has the best frame lock on it I've seen. I think this is actually if you're into frame locks, I think this is the safest frame lock you can get out of all the ones I've seen anyway. Right here, you just turn this piece, the frame lock stop, the frame stop, right here, and you can see the lock up. And you cannot move this at all when it's locked. It will not move at all. You'd have to break this knife. This is an integral frame knife. That means it's all one piece. There's not a bunch of pieces bolted together that get out of alignment all the time. This one stays in perfect alignment. Made by Line Steel. Line Steel makes awesome knives. They're probably to me, the premium knife maker in Italy for manual knives. Lattima is like the best switchblade maker. But for manual knives and knives that you can legally carry and stuff just about everywhere, the Line Steels are the best, if you ask me, in Italy. The best ones I've seen, that's what I should say. The best ones that I have seen. Okay, now we're going to get into the knives that are my favorites. Why are these my favorites? Because these are the fidgeters. And I like to fidget. I can fidget with all these knives, but none of these knives are as fun to fidget with as these knives. These knives you can easily open and close with one hand, without even thinking about it. Let me give you an example. This is a CJRB. This one's made in China. It's CJRB, and it's got the Recoil-Lock. The CJRB Recoil-Lock. And it's all made to be operated from the front of the knife. That's one problem I sort of have with looks like the Atlas lock design from the GSM Cold Steels, that you have to operate it from back here. I like to operate a fidgeting knife from the front. And that's what I sort of want to show everybody today. The front. And then you can just touch it right here. You can swing it back out. I don't think you can do that with the Atlas. And these locks are very strong too, because it's basically a crossbar lock. It works with 2 Omega springs on each side. And I've highly lubed both Omega springs. That's how you make the Omega springs last and they don't break. You gotta lube them. And once you do that, you got an awesome knife. Awesome knife. CJRB Recoil-Lock. And it's probably the most budget-friendly knife on this table. You can get these for sometimes under $40. And this one has a D2 semi-stainless blade with G10 handle scales and thick stainless steel liners. It's a very well-made knife. Very well-made knife. Can't say enough good about it. I mean, for the price of it, it's awesome. And they also have another model that's called the Kicker. This one's called the Krog. Absolutely love it. Would highly recommend it. I've never been able to wear out the lock. I have several of these. I have three different. I have the original ones that came in D2? I think they all came in D2. Oh no, this one's an ARPM 9 powdered stainless steel. Is that right? Yep. I'm sorry about that. I call it D2. It's not D2. This is the newer model. This is the ARPM 9 powdered stainless steel. It's a powdered stainless steel invented by Artisan Cutlery. CJRB is like the budget line of Artisan Cutlery, like Civivi is to WE Knives. And their budget knives are very high quality too, just like WE Knives. Yeah, Civivi. This one right here is made in Golden, Colorado with CPM S30V, USA. And it's a Spyderco Manix 2 XL. And this is another knife that's one of my favorites. One thing I had to change on it that I didn't really care for is I had to give it a titanium ball cage. This has a Ballbearing-Lock, and they come stock with a plastic ball bearing cage, and I didn't like that, so I changed it to a titanium ball bearing cage from Fly Titanium. That's where I got it from. I have a couple of these. This is the one that I've carried. The other one I've never carried, like brand new. This one, you can see it's been highly carried because it's one of my most favorite knives. Absolutely love it. This is a good knife for me for work because I need to use a knife that can cut cheese and salami and things like that, lunch meat, things I eat for lunch all the time. I take to work with me for lunch. And I use it for that kind of purpose. And it has a DLC coating, but this is the only DLC coated knife that I've started to wear off the coating. I have had this knife for a couple of years and I've used it a ton, because the blade is so good at slicing. Another great slicer that I like, Spyderco makes great slicing knives for preparing your food, is a compression lock. The compression lock. This is another great lock I would highly recommend. It's like, I don't know, it's sort of like a reverse liner lock to me, but it's better than a liner lock the way that it's constructed. It's more, I think it's probably a lot stronger than a liner lock. But it's a great lock. It's another one I would highly recommend for people who are concerned about lockup and locks that wear out and stuff like that. If you don't want to get a knife that the lock's gonna wear out and you got a lot of blade play and all that kind of stuff. All these knives I have used a ton. I've used them a ton. And the reason why I use them a ton because they were my favorite knives. My favorite knives always carried the most. Excellent knife. Excellent knife. The compression lock. Next one up is a knife that I still carry constantly all the time because it's one of my go-tos when I carry a stiletto. I love my Tylite 6, but I carry this more than Tylite 6. And what is it? It's a Benchmade, made in USA, 391 BK with D2 semi-stainless steel. Absolutely love it. I think that's a Cerakote coating. I've never had the coating wear off, but then again, I don't use it for a whole lot of cutting tasks either. This one pretty much just opens up packages of mail. It does food prep sometimes, but not that much. I carry this more as like a self-defense folder, more than I do a utility knife. It's one I carry it when I want a nice long self-defense folder. It's super light and it's easy to carry and conceals very nicely. That's why I carry this one. And the only Benchmades I like are the black class ones. This is a black class Benchmade. That means it's made for law enforcement and military personnel and emergency rescue people. It's meant to be a real duty knife. And I have about 3 or 4 of these. I have 2 of them with the serrated blade and 2 with the plain edge. I think that's what I have. Absolutely love them. And that's D2. Oh, this one has a, I said this one has G10 with AR-PM9 steel. And this one has G10 with S30V steel. And this one is, I always forget what they call this one. It's like a carbon fiber and polymer mix. And I always forget what the name of it is. But it's something like that. Everybody can look it up. And this one has a laminated handle, which is carbon fiber over G10. But the way that they did this one, it's like beautiful. They did a beautiful job in doing this one. And I have the black pocket clips, but I never put them on yet. I got the black pocket clips for it because I didn't like the big shiny pocket clip. Because I like to carry this one to work a lot. For knives I like to carry to work, I usually like to carry black knives, or at least knives with black pocket clips, so they don't stand out so much. Next one up on the line, oh man, this is one of my all-time favorites. Y'all have heard me talk about this one over and over and over and over again. And what is it? The Kiku. It's one of my favorite little knives. Why? Because my hand fits so comfortably on it. You know, it fit all the way to the end of the knife, but it's just the way that the grip's made. It's just comfortable. It's comfortable. This is a super comfortable knife. And I also have the one that's all carbon fiber with the carbon fiber frame. It weighs about 2 ounces lighter. But I like this one because I don't know, I just like the way that the steel frame feels. I like it feeling heavy duty. Because to me it feels like a miniature S.O.G seal. like a downsized S.O.G seal. And I love the S.O.G seal too, but it's a tank, so I don't carry it. I actually love that knife very much. I have 2 of these and 1 of the carbon fiber ones, so I have 3 of them all together. I absolutely love it. Always knives I really like, I will have multiples of. Unless they're real expensive, then I may only have 1 or 2 of them. But if they're like more in the affordable range, I usually get like at least 2 or 3 of them or whatever. This one right here is another XR lock. Oh, did I mention what kind of steel? This is CTS XHP with black. I think it's, I want to say canvas micarta. It might be linen micarta. It's a micarta though. Micarta handle scales with a CTS XHP blade. Absolutely love it. This one has CTS XHP blade too and a G10 handle scales. And it's the one that got me buying Pentagon. This is my first Pentagon that I purchased. I mean, not first Pentagon, but the first S.O.G knife, Studies and Observations Group knife that I purchased. And I absolutely loved it so much, I collected pretty much all the XR locks. Even the assisted XR locks, I collected those too. And it got me into collecting S.O.Gs. But one thing about S.O.Gs, to me, the best S.O.Gs are the ones with XR locks. The ones before the XR locks, I would pass on those. Perfectly centered. And this one I've carried a ton too, and this one was ordered this one from Studies and Observation Group, the company, because I had purchased one and the blade was hitting the backspacer, and so I sent it back to them, and they sent me this one, and I told them I wanted the stiletto on it. The first one had stiletto on it too. The first one came from Studies and Observations Group also. And this one they sent back to me is perfect. They sent me 2 of them. And this is the one I carried. And it's never hit the backspacer, or I've never had that issue again. So I don't know what was going on with the first one, but they knew how to fix it. Beautiful knife. This is one of my most fun fidgeters. It's an axis lock with a flipper. How ingenious is that? How ingenious is that? That's the best way to make an axis lock. Give it a flipper. Axis locks are known to be able to fail too. And with the flipper, it just makes it safe. But axis locks tend to be a very strong knife when they're made right. But when they're made wrong, they can fail. And the way that you make axis lock fail is that you got to hit it on the butt end, and lots of times the slide will slide down and the blade will close. So you never want to hit an axis lock on the butt. You don't want to hit somebody or hit something with the butt end of it, because the lock might fail and the knife might fold in on your hand. But with this one, with the XR locks, with the flippers, you don't have that worry, because even if that did happen, the blade's not going to fold all the way in on your hand and it just bounce back to locked up position. That's the way these work. If you ask me, these are the safest crossbar lock knives, the XR locks. The XR locks and also the CJRB, they use a flipper on their crossbar lock too. I wish Benchmade would get into that. I'd love to see a crossbar lock or a flipper on the 391 BK. I'd have to buy another 4. Excellent knife. Highly recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. Now we're going to get into what I think are the best. Well, actually, the best started probably started right around here with the XR locks. The XR locks. The ones I think are not only the best, but the safest. And this is one that's first turned me on to these. The Plunge-Locks was a Civivi. Civivi Cogent. This is an awesome knife. Awesome knife. And the only one I like better than this is the Conspirator. Now both of these have the same kind of finish. It's just this one I polished. Because they both got the micarta handle scales. I think it's canvas micarta handle scales and Damascus blades. It's supposed to be a 9CR Damascus, if I remember right. And it holds the edge very well. This one, when I totally redid it, I put a nice polished edge on it. I can't remember what degree it was. I want to say it was like an 18 degree. Might be an 18 degree edge on it. 18 or 20, one of the two. Because I don't like to go too steep on the degrees because then you make the edge real fragile. But for like pocket knives, I like it like 18 degrees to 20 degrees. Because it keeps the edge tough enough where it's not fragile and won't chip out and roll real easy. But I totally polished it and put a nice edge on it. And why I do all that to this knife? Because I love this knife. Absolutely love it. Knives that I like, I always mod and customize. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I tend to mod and customize the ones I like the best. And this knife is awesome. The pivots never come loose. You never get any up and down play. And you can play with it constantly. It loves to be played with. It likes to get attention. It likes to be handled. It likes to be manipulated. It wants you to play with it. It's just like Juno. Where'd Juno go? Oh, she's over there sleeping on the chair. But she likes a lot of attention too. This is a great knife. I know a lot of people got a lot of stigmas about China and Russia right now, and I can understand that. But the people who are making these knives make beautiful knives. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Remember in Vietnam, my brother told me that lots of times the M16s would get clogged up with mud and stuff like that and they wouldn't work. So they pick up the enemy's guns, the AK-47s, because they would always work. Don't knock your enemy just because, don't knock the weapons of your enemy just because you don't like your enemy. Don't like your enemy, but sometimes they got some killer posterior posterior portion of the physical anatomy knives. Love it. Next one up is my new all-time favorite of fidgeters. That's right, I said it. The one that I like the best for fidgeting. It's not necessarily just this one model, it's the 8020 series, period, from Demko Knives. I like all of the 8020 series knives so far that I've seen and I've handled. I've only handled 2 models because the other ones are so hard to get, you can't get them. Even this one's very hard to get, unless you want to spend a whole bunch of money for it. And but the one that's the easiest to get is the 8020.5. I highly recommend it. My hand fits in it. It's a tight fit, but my hand fits. I got a nice, comfortable grip. And you can just fidget with these all day long. You can do them to the beat of the record. These knives are awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome fidgeters. And the blade steel on them, the Japanese Oz 10 or the Austrian D2, they both hold edges. I've heard people complain about them and whine about them and stuff like that. I even ranted about them in the beginning because I just feel like D2 and Oz 10 should be on a knife that costs less than $150. It should be on a knife that costs in between, $50 and $100 or something like that. It's not supposed to be a premium, it's not a premium steel. Those aren't premium steels. So to me, they shouldn't demand premium prices. But after getting the 8020.5, this knife is so awesome. I don't care. I don't care. This knife is so awesome, like I said, I don't care. And this is real Japanese Oz 10 from the Aichi steel manufacturer in Japan. This is real Japanese Oz 10A. It's not, somebody else's. I'm not gonna mention any countries that make other people's steel and act like and make it and they present it like it's coming from like the original manufacturer of the steel. I'm not gonna get into all that. But this is the real steel. Andrew Demko always makes sure that he gets the real steel. And so the D2 is real D2. And this is real Oz 10A. Absolutely love it. And it holds the edge very well. This knife has never been resharpened, and I've used it 1,000,000 times. You know, to cut, you know, open, you know, packages, boxes, mail, to slice salami and cheese at work. You know, this is my favorite work knife. I carry this to work just about every day, unless I'm testing out another knife. But when I'm not testing other knives, I carry this one all the time. And I got a bunch of these, y'all know. I got, you know, I just bought another one. I bought the titanium version from Knife Center. I was able to get the clip point. The sheep's foot was gone when I went and, you know, ordered my clip point. I already gotten the sheep's foot too, but it was gone. But I did get the clip point. Absolutely love these knives. And I think that's number 12 for me. I have 12 80-10.5, 80-20.5s. I got 12 of these things. And they all look different because I put different handle scales. They've all been modded pretty much. Absolutely love them. Absolutely love them. And the new titanium one, I think it looks better than the modded ones I have. The modded titanium, because I have 2 titanium ones already that are, one's from the RGT. I have the RGT titanium set and the original GOAT titanium set for the 80-20.5s. And the new one looks like it's going to be the nicest looking one. That's just my personal opinion. And this one is the bigger version. This is an S model. They both have the same thickness of blade, 3.2 millimeter. And the 20 model, the S stands for slim. And the reason why it's slim is because it has a thinner blade stock. I can't remember what the 80-20's blade stock is, but I know it's thicker than this one. But the knife is the same. You know, all the dimensions and everything are the same, except for this one's, you know, slimmer. And this one, I put the original GOAT scales on. And I just recently did this, I think it was Friday, and I've been carrying it ever since, and I absolutely love it. This one and this one, out of all these, are the ones I carry the most. These are the 2 knives I carry the most. This one hasn't been carried the most yet, but it's going to be carried the most. Let me put it that way. Because I just love the Shark Lock. I think the Shark Lock is the best lock on the market right now. I know the Atlas Lock is coming out and it's getting ready to make its appearance. I know it's super strong. You know, I'm not saying that's not super, you know, it's not a good lock or anything, but I just like locks that I can fidget with also, other than just having strength. And with a mid lock, I can't picture me being able to do that. I know I watched the Stickman over and over, and when he manipulates it, he always has to close it with 2 hands. That's not my style. You know, I did that, you know, 20 years ago, closing things with 2 hands. You know, well, actually even longer than that, because I carried Balisongs in the 80. That's a 1-hand knife. So I would say, like, since I haven't really been into 2-handed closing knives since like the 1970s and 60s. Yeah, I've been around that long. These are, I can't say enough about them. And I was asked by Anton Beukes. I hope I'm saying your name right. I hate to mess up people's names. But Anton. I was asked by Anton if these have good lockup. No side to side, no up and down. Okay, that's a new one. Okay, that's a newer one. So, or it's not new, but I'm just now starting to carry it because I've set it up the way I like it. But let's talk about this one. This one's been carried 1,000,000 times. It's been opened and closed 1,000,000,000 times. It's done everything from opening boxes to, I don't know, to whatever I need to cut. You know, it's done it every day. No side to side, no up and down. No side to side, no up and down. The pivot doesn't even come loose. These are excellent knives. these are excellent knives. There's other knives I really like too, but the pivots come loose all the time, so I decided not to put them on this table. Even though I really, really love them. I'm talking about the CRKT deadbolts. Even though I really, really love those knives, the pivots do come loose and you have to constantly maintain the pivot. And that gets to be a pain in the butt sometimes when you don't want to be bothered with it. You know what I mean? It's not that I can't do it, it's just sometimes I don't want to be bothered with doing it. And so that's my little gripe about that. I hope Flavio Kuma and everybody else gets together at CRKT and figures out the way to stop those pivots from coming loose all the time. And re-engineer that pivot on the deadbolt. But other than that, the deadbolts are beautiful knives. They're awesome knives. And I really love the M16 and the Clever Girl. The M16 04DB and the Clever Girl. Austin McGlone design. M16 is a beautiful, 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 beautiful knife. I think the first CRKT I ever had was the M16, and absolutely loved it. And I ended up giving it to a friend of mine. He had it for 20 years or so before he tried, got into something else. And they're just a great knife. They're not expensive. They're very affordable. The first ones were, but the deadbolt's a little bit more expensive. That's true. But the deadbolt, in the M16, that's where the deadbolt needs to be. CRKT's best lock is the deadbolt. They just need to perfect their pivots. They need to go back to work on the pivots. And I absolutely love the Ken Onion assist on it with the Flavio Kuma and the Kit Carson design. It's awesome. It's awesome. That's all I got to say, but it's not on this table because it has an issue with the pivots. But other than that, I really like it. All these knives are the knives I would highly recommend for people who like to fidget, or people who want a really strong knife that they can depend on for a combat situation, or a soldier, or a law enforcement, or EMT, or something like that. These are my favorite frame locks for people who like frame locks. I'm not really a liner lock person. Don't expect to see a lot of liner locks from me because I got cut up by a liner lock, so I don't really like liner locks. And liner lock has to be super duper special for me to like it. And most likely it'll be just a collector, like the Cold Steel limited edition Oyabun. That's a liner lock. And the only reason why I got that is because it's a Lance C. Thompson knife, and it's a special edition knife. So I decided I just want to collect it. I don't carry it. But these frame locks I have carried, and these frame locks I like to carry. This one I think is the safest frame lock out of all the frame locks that I have owned and tried. Is the SR11A from Italy, from Lion Steel. These are my favorite knives to carry to work, or whenever because my work, sometimes I have a lot of dead time, and that's why I like, answer comments to you guys and stuff like that. I like to get on the internet, and I always take my iPad to work, and when I got some dead time, I like to answer the questions that you guys ask me and stuff like that. And lots of times I'll fidget. I like to fidget with knives and stuff like that. And that'll be the time when I'll fidget with knives and when I'm answering comments and stuff like that. And these are my favorite knives for that. And these are my favorite knives for, like this one's a self-defense knife, really. But all the rest of these I would call work knives. Except for this one. Let me put this one over here, because that's more in the self-defense realm. These are all work knives. These are all work knives. This one's the one that's in the self-defense realm. And the reason why I'm saying is because they're long. They're big and long. Same thing goes for this one. This one's a self-defense knife. All of these could be work knives easily. But that one's a self-defense knife. I hope this helps you guys out with your decisions, Jeremy and Anton. And I'm going to call it quits on this one. Hope y'all doing good out there. I see it stopped raining, but the clouds are still out there, so it's probably starting to get late. But anyway, peace out, Stiletto. Hope I'm able to get out there and do some bushcrafting this week. Peace.